It's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be better. I can't wait. Making my move. Live for the day. Sing like a bird. Fly like a plane. Come spill with me. Jenny D.
Hello, my beautiful people. It's me, Jenny D from Spill With Me, Jenny D podcast. I have another episode here, and I'm so excited to have my guest, Sharon St. Clair of the Marshall St. Clair Group.
Nice to be here, Jenny.
I'm always delighted to have Sharon because I learned so much from her. You know, I didn't know anything about real estate or about anything about the buyers and sellers, and she is here today because spring is, thank goodness, right around the corner, right? So if you're thinking about selling your home, there's a lot you need to know. And this is what I'm so glad that we're doing this because I would like to sell my home eventually soon. You need to maximize your sale price and navigate the changing real estate landscape. I mean, today I'm just so excited to have Sharon here. She is a top real estate agent expert in the area. So to break it down for us, Sharon, thanks for being here. And thanks for giving this information to my listeners and viewers. This is going to be so helpful. So you're going to want to tune in.
We want everyone to be ready for success. And success involves preparation and it involves planning early. But there's no time like the present. So whether your window is extended out, maybe, you're looking at 6 months or longer, or maybe your window's a little bit shorter because life plays out in housing.
Right.
And things happen. And now you have to go to the market fairly quickly. What can we do to get prepared?
Yes.
And what do we need to know?
Let's start with the major change. I mean, buyer agency agreements, like this is something that's like foreign to me. So I'm so excited that we're talking about this. This is something that will impact how homes are bought and sold. What do sellers need to know?
So a lot of sellers are now really, as they're coming onto the market, they're understanding some of the changes that have happened with buyer agency. In Pennsylvania, we've had buyer agency since 1999. But now the process of buyer agency is a little bit different. So what does that mean? Before, you could casually go out and just go to a house and, depending upon when that buyer agency agreement was signed, it could be signed, later into the process. Now, before a buyer steps into a home with a licensed real estate agent, they have to have a buyer agency agreement in place.
Oh, okay.
That discusses the fact that they are being represented by a buyer's agent and all of the terms and duties and responsibilities of that agent and the associated compensation for that service as well.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just show up at an open house.
Well, that's a great question, Jenny,
Yeah.
because actually when you have an open house, you are, in essence, you are opening that out to you're opening it up to the entire public.
Okay.
What we're talking about are private showings.
Oh, private showings. Okay.
Private showings.
Thank you for clarifying.
Absolutely. And so what we're seeing with the change of buyer agency and the shift is this. You have people that not everyone does an open house. Some people only will have private showings.
Right.
So some people were choosing to go in unrepresented. Other people go in with an agent. And then there are other parties that they just want to submit. They just want to have an attorney handle it. You as a seller should understand that with the change in landscape of real estate, this absolutely affects you. There's a lot of education and information that you need to be aware of around these changes in real estate and how this can affect you. But the good news is, Jenny, that with our group, Karen, Marshall, and myself, with the experience of decades, and then I'm also a former practicing attorney. And by the way, I always say this, my disclaimer, I never practice in real estate. I was a securities attorney in corporate, and I don't actively practice now. But I will tell you that attorneys and agents really do have different conversations, and to be able to effectively be able to communicate with counsel in a real estate transaction is extremely advantageous and helpful,
Right.
because not everyone is going to hire an agent in the environment that we're in. And we're seeing that. We're just seeing that.
Yeah, right. It's all over the place, but you got to work together, right? So that's a game changer. So how does this affect how sellers approach listing their homes?
Sellers listing their house, buyer agency used to be something where it was determined whenever they would, the entire purpose of what happened in buyer agency is that it was always this lawsuit.
So Sharon, it's a game changer. I mean, the National Association of Realtors, everything has changed. Can you explain that a little bit to us?
Sure. So back in August of last year, Jenny, the National Association of Realtors, otherwise referred to as NAR, entered into a settlement with a class action lawsuit. And it was all around buyer agency, because they felt that the sellers felt that they were compelled to offer compensation to a buyer's agent.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And that was the entire basis. Now realize that there are some states that do not have buyer agency, or did not prior to the NAR settlement. Pennsylvania is not one of them. We've had buyer agency for many, many years. And so when it comes to compensation of agents, that's always been a negotiable item as to, what that compensation is going to look like. But now the conversation has changed. And it is really about the seller understanding that there are various options available to that seller.
I like that.
And, our goal whenever we're meeting with a potential seller is that they really understand what every option they have, because every choice has a consequence.
Right.
And so we really like to walk them through the process of giving them education and likely outcomes so that they can evaluate their options clearly.
I love that, Sharon. Because you do, a lot of us like me don't know a lot about the real estate market and what to do. And, you're here to educate and give us this information because, sometimes you're not going to get that knowledge from other real estate agents,
There are 9,000 agents in our MLS, in our real estate market, and they come from a variety of different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said,
it's know what I'm getting
really,
with the Marshall St. Clair.
it's really important that you have a very clear understanding of the process, that you ask the agent that you want to work with, that you don't be afraid to ask questions, because part of this is education. Not only education about the process of selling a home or purchasing a home, but it's also the process of what to expect in agency and what the role is of an agent. At the Marshall St. Clair Group, Karen and I are full faith fiduciaries.
Okay.
Full faith fiduciaries. That has very, very significant meaning. I was just interviewed not too long ago for a couple of hours by a very well-known and well-respected broker who is also an attorney, and they only represent buyers. And we had a wonderful conversation around all of the changes and what this is going to mean for the consumer. And it was an interview. And he said, I want to know what your experience and what your perspective on these changes means and how you are counseling clients. And I have to tell you, it was a fantastic conversation and interview. And as a result of that, we are collaborating.
That's fantastic.
We're very excited to be able to, help their sellers because they don't do both sides.
Well, that's great, Sharon. Thank you for giving us that information.
My pleasure.
Now, preparing your home for Top dollars. I mean, that to me is, everybody wants to know that. So let's talk about something every seller wants, getting that top dollar. And how can homeowners set themselves up for success?
Once again, when you are a seller getting ready for the market, your goal, if you're like most sellers, you want the most dollars that you can get for your home, the best possible terms, and the shortest period of time. So with that said, understanding the agent that you're going to work with, you are probably going to want to be in a full service situation with an agent.
Right.
And understanding the entire offering of all of the things that they bring. It's not just about marketing your home. It's about preparing your home for the market.
Right.
What I call positioning. You have one chance to lift the curtain to your home in the market. And the more prepared you are, the more successful you will be.
Right.
So working with an agent early on in that process versus on the latter end of it is always in the interest of the consumer. The one thing that I see that people should be aware of, if you want to maximize the dollars to your bottom line,
Right.
you have to know if there are dollars to be spent, where the best place to spend them would be. Because otherwise, if you have limited resources or you want to make the use of those resources go farther, there are certain things in your house that will yield a better rate of return if you're going to spend money than some other choices and options that you can make.
Right.
And at
Right.
the end of the
That's
day,
that.
it affects everything. So it's not just the final dollars, but you want to attract a qualified pool of buyers. You want best possible terms and the time frame that you as a seller want to move and close on your home.
Yes. And I'm in that process right now. So Sharon's going to help me with that because, you don't want to do these improvements when you don't have to. Don't want to invest all this money on something that you're like, you know what, that looks fine. Or somebody expert like you comes in. So what would that be like if you came in? So working with you, what would that be like, Sharon?
So if we're talking about some of the services that we're talking about full concierge services. We're talking about vendors, anything to do related to house and getting you ready to to get ready for the market. So that could be contractors, that could be movers, that could be anything housing related. Yes, our concierge, we're full service.
Wow.
So our goal in this is to have our clients not only have a great outcome from a real estate standpoint, but to have a less stressful experience. Take away the pain points.
Take away the stress.
So concierge is one of the services that we offer. And if they do need a list of trusted contractors, again, they are all vetted for insurance and criminal background checks. And at the same time, if clients don't necessarily have the dollars to spend on some things, recommendations, again, it's going to be up to the client to decide.
Right.
We also have the resources to help them get that financed so that once again, we're looking at where the house is, where we want it to be so that the optimal result is there. And if we're going to drive dollars to the house, sometimes we have to spend dollars. Not everybody has the dollar to spend up front. And some people do need some help with that. So we also have those resources in place to help people get ready for the market, make corrections, changes, updates, whatever the case may be. But realize that those become, again, we're mapping out a game plan. Your son plays football, right?
Yes.
Okay. So.
Are you the quarterback?
Your son is a quarterback.
I'll just be in the stands.
You're the most important person because you are in the stands. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we're looking at the entire field and we're looking at where, what the playbook is. Right. And we're going to be able to adjust that playbook depending upon what's happening in the market and on the field of real estate. So we're adjusting.
the
Yeah.
best, and that's what you want. Like, that's a huge advantage for the sellers to have you there, to have a concierge service and to come in there and see, because you've been in the business for so long, what people are looking for when they're looking for a home,
Yes.
what to improve on. So I love that.
And also we have, in our group, so we have condition specialists. 25% of all homes that go onto the market will terminate in Western Pennsylvania. The contracts will terminate, which means a buyer will terminate and send and say they no longer want to buy the house.
Oh.
All negotiations have stopped at that point.
Oh.
That's a very high number. In a lot of instances in Western Pennsylvania, those terminations are because of condition. So being the owner of an inspection company, and we have condition specialists, we have master inspectors that are part of our group.
Right.
We're not there to inspect the home, but our understanding of knowing what we're seeing when we walk through the door and how we're able to counsel our clients makes a huge difference, because you don't want to go through all of the effort of going live to the market, finding that buyer, coming off the market for that buyer, only to have that buyer turn around and walk away.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and every choice has a consequence. So between the concierge service, condition specialists, and then we have a group of cosmetic specialists, designers, stagers, because we know that we live in a very visual world and people want to see the final product. They don't want to see the project.
Right. And I've been in a few of Sharon homes where they were like staged so nicely. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could move in right now.
So we've actually leveled up with our concierge service, what we're doing. So it's not just it's about the entire house transformation. If that's what a client wants.
Right.
Some clients do, some clients don't. So we can come in and do, really just take the house in the current condition that it is. We can do things that are very minor. We can also do things that are really major.
Right.
And the other thing is that sometimes our clients are not here, so we can kind of just take over and then just literally hand them the finished product and say, here, now the finished product is ready for the market, which we have one of those going. We have more than one of those going on right now as we speak. Yes.
So Sharon, that's what I'm saying. Like right now, what should homeowners do to prepare for the spring market? Like what can they do right now?
So a few things that you can do. Start to walk through your house and declutter. Start to thinking about organizing, because you're going to be leaving anyway.
Can't you do that for me, Sharon?
We can, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Because my garage is a mess. And my attic.
Again, when we talk about, full service, we can do a little bit. We can come in and have people that will handle everything for you.
Oh, wow.
You just walk away.
But then the biggest thing with me is like, I don't like to throw a lot of things away, like the kids, cribs and their clothes. So you're saying though, just put it in bin, put it in boxes.
We can help you organize
it. Yeah.
We can send people in to help you basically kind of organically think about what your next move is going to look like. Why add the additional expense, time and energy of taking things that you may never use again? So we'll come in, we have, part of our process with our clients is we basically give them some education around this so that they can streamline it. It becomes much more manageable and efficient. And then if they need help, we have people to come in and do everything or a little bit, whatever you want. Right. So that's one thing. So the decluttering. The second thing is really, you want to just think about your presentation, your curb appeal. When people drive up, you want them to love your home as much as you have. Mm-hmm. So put your glasses on and say, what's going to make this pop?
Yes.
And
plants or
landscaping, freshening up. I mean, you definitely, the freshening up is, very important. You want people to come up and feel a sense of joy and happiness, even before they hit the front door.
Right. Because you got to like the outside before you like the inside, right?
Well, we drive to the outside, we live to the inside. So,
I like that. Wait, say that again, Sharon.
We drive to the outside, we live on the inside. So with that said, you want to boost your curb appeal, but when they come through the house, you want to engage them. People are going to make decisions within 7 seconds of whether or not they want that house.
Wow. 7 seconds.
7
Jeez.
seconds. 7 to 10 seconds, they're going to make a decision.
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
That is, oh, those are such powerful tips. Like, I just love these because I wouldn't think of that. Now, when you're saying work with an expert agent as well, too, because the right strategy, because you, like you said,
Yes.
you don't want to be doing things that are not necessary. You want to make sure you're getting your best for your, what is that, bang for your buck?
I call it, we want to drive dollars to the house.
Right.
We don't want to see dollars, and so.
Yeah.
In football terms.
Right. Or back to football.
We're back to football. If we're representing a seller, we are playing defense. We are there to hold the line and make sure that the value is preserved. We are what I call we are not taking down value. We are protecting value, holding it and increasing it. So we are basically, yes, we don't want the market or we don't want the market or people inside the market to basically be what we call arsonists to the value, where they're looking to take down the value of your house for their benefit. So when we're representing sellers in this market, we are holding value and we're negotiating that out to hold that line.
I love that. I mean, imagine having a trusted real estate agent, a professional. It can make a difference. Sharon here is giving so many great tips, and I'm so excited to hear more. Now, Sharon, call to action. Like, this has been such valuable information. So for homeowners thinking about selling, what's the next step?
The next step is you want to think about who you want to work with. And you want to really ask a complement of questions. Without going into the podcast, if anyone wants to reach out and they want just, some education on how to find the agent that they want to work best with, they can contact our group and we're happy to give you some questions that you can ask anyone. And any agent should be happy and ready to answer any one of these questions anywhere, anytime.
I love that. I know, because it's, that's the hardest part is finding that agent that, you can trust and that they're here for your best interests. That's the hard part.
A licensed agent is a licensed fiduciary.
Okay.
And that is really important. I want you to think about this. You've lived in your house for how many years?
It'll be 25.
25 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're about to turn over, not right now, but you're thinking someday you're going to be turning over this home, which is your memory maker. This home is also a major asset.
Yes.
And you want to have that home and that asset prepared for the next party. And you want to have a fantastic outcome. But at the same time, the experience of that, it should be very expected, predictable, smooth. It should be a great outcome, but it also should be a great experience. And if that stress can be reduced with a higher degree of certainty, why would you not do that?
Right. Oh, Sharon, I mean, I'm in. All the things that you mentioned, these are things that I didn't even know I should be preparing now. Like when I got the Christmas decorations out, I should have thrown away the ones that I didn't use this year because I know I'm not going to use them again. But I kept them. So now I'm going to have to do it next year. Like go through things that you're not going to use again.
Yeah. I mean, you can refuge, throw it away, repurpose it, or resell it.
Right. That's true.
And that's just, one component. But it's really important that you are prepared and that we take those steps and just put the action plan into place. And that's really, it's an action plan. And we come in, we give reports, we give very detailed, this is, something to consider. This is not mandatory. We're advisors. We're not there to compel anyone.
Right.
We're giving you advice. It's always the homeowner's decision, what they want to do. So we just try to give different solutions, try to give different options. If you take option door A, this is what you can expect. Door B, this is what you can expect.
Right.
And door C, this is what you can expect. But always your choice.
I love that, having options, because, it could be stressful. But I mean, the way we were talking today, I feel so relieved, like having you in my corner. So we were going to have the number, and also you can have a free consultation. But the number here is 724-503-0014. And that would be like such a nice thing if you wanted to talk to Sharon, if you wanted to just say, hey, Sharon, I need I want to consult.
If you want to talk to our group about buying or selling, we're always here for you. And as members of the community, if there's anything that we can ever do, we're here to help and serve in any way that we can. And if you ever want that list of questions that you should always ask, then anyone should always be ready and able to answer. And that is whether or not they are an agent or an attorney.
Yes, I love that. Sharon, this was such great information. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
If you're thinking about selling a home in the spring, I mean, this is the person to talk to in her group. Sharon St. Clair group or the Marshall St. Clair group is wonderful. Keller Williams and Sharon and Karen and all the rest of the staff. I mean, you're in great hands. So make sure to get, contact with them. So I really appreciate connecting because, expert guidance you'll need that's what you want. You want that stress-free agent to come in and just be there, be your friend, not just like somebody that's in there looking for commission. It's somebody that's going to guide you and really help you through the process.
You should, every consumer deserves to have a great outcome and a great experience.
Yes. Thank you.
And that's very possible. And that's you should come in there with that expectation.
That's so comforting. I love it. Now, Sharon, what do we always say?
Live your best life.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Spring is here. Take care.
Come spill with me.